My name is Charlie Pomykal, and I represent artists. I am a creative director and executive producer of creative development for Fueled Films, and have a clothing line called Santiago Knits with one of my best friends, who at times I just want to hug dearly. And I love my life, so life is good, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. I think I would say just listen, slow down, and learn the gift of patience. Quit being in such a hurry, and embrace the moment to know where you are. Life moves so quickly, and that's what's so amazing to think. I can see my 16-year-old self, and I remember my 16-year-old self and how fast I wanted to be in another space and couldn't appreciate my junior year. My junior year was fun, and my senior year was a ball. And your junior year is kind of the best because then you got one more to go, and then you go to college or what plans you have. But like being in that moment and those friendships and really developing those roots, that really solid network, I miss that, and I grew up in Texas and I live in California, and those people that I grew up with really defined who I was. And as you get older, you do drift apart just by distance and geography and families and time, but knowing that you have that base. I was in a flood when I was 12 years old, and we were stranded at summer camp on one side of the river. We couldn't get across, and there was unfortunately some children and some adults who lost their lives in a school bus and during this flood, not with our camp, but with another camp. And we were listening to this on the radio, and we were stranded, and we didn't really have but what rations we had stowed away, and it was a flash flood, and it was a 100-year flood. And I remember sitting there, and we were like, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to catch crawfish, and we're going to figure out how to get across the river. It took 3 days for us to do that. And that summer, I learned a lot about not only myself, but a lot about people, and I felt that was a pivotal summer for me, where I grew in my confidence, and I felt rewarded for such. And when you start stepping into your own, there was some counselors that were I think I started to appreciate, and they weren't my peers, they weren't my superiors, they weren't necessarily my friends, but they were mentors. And there's a difference in all of those relationships that you have in life, and just respecting people for the position that they are in your life at that time. Maybe know who your peer group is. And it's interesting, as you grow older, I've learned my peer group age range widely changes.
Huge.
When you're 16, a year or two may seem worlds apart. I remember being 16 and knowing a 20-year-old and thinking, oh, they're old, or, when you're 18 and knowing a 25-year-old, that seems so old. But, as you grow in your years, those windows of age, they really shrink. And I have great friends that are 80 years old now, 82, one of my best friends. And, I love her to death. One of the moments when I moved to LA, I was 23 years old, and a friend of mine sat me down in front of a mirror and said, "Who is that? Do you know who that is? Who are you?" And you always are changing. I mean, we always are evolving. But, really having that moment, that's like a pivotal moment. That was a pivotal moment for me. And, thinking at 22, 23 years old, you think you know everything, and I'm an adult, and I'm legal for everything. Now. I can vote, I can drink, and I can get arrested. And I can drive, but, and then you just keep growing. Life is not a destination. That was the hardest thing, I think, for me. I keep thinking, like, well, when you get to here, when you get to this point, well, the destination's 6 feet under, or ashes to ashes, and so you gotta, someone said to me the other day, YOLO. You only live once, and we gotta live it, and so say yes. that's something, I remember being in the library, and before there was that Jim Carrey movie, Yes Man or something.
Yeah.
But it's based on a true story, and it's based on a guy who just said yes, and he was on a bus in Great Britain in London, and this old man looked at him and said, just say yeah. Just say yes. And so he spent 24 hours just saying yes to everything, got in a bar fight, got all this stuff. But he kept learning these lessons and opening doors, because when you say no, you shut things down. And I had a boss right out of college, one of my first jobs. He said, if you want to tell a client no, he goes, you got to come to me first. Say, let me think about it and figure out how we can do this. And it's always be a solution provider. And I don't know if you've had this experience, but if you call customer service or if you call somebody and then they just say no, it lights a fire of anger. And it's like you want pathways to possibility. Just what you can do.